What's going on, guys? So as a group of coaches on Ronin, we've been talking about and posting a lot about sprint training and jump training and how we're all kind of trying to use it in some way, shape or form to be able to both positively impact you guys to hopefully implement it into your own training for performance, but also to help ourselves and give ourselves another training tool to help develop strength and power and athleticism and improve our conditioning and a bunch of other different benefits that come from sprinting. In this video, what we're going to go through is a few different strategies and principles that you should kind of program yourself with as you're trying to bring sprinting back into your program, back into your routine, or if you've never really sprinted in a structured way as part of training before, how you're going to go about implementing sprinting into your training. So there's going to be a few basic principles in this video, and there's also going to be a few different exercises we're going to put in to try and get you to implement so you can have a basic structure within your program. So there's a few principles that I would go for. The first one is going from slow to fast. So the same as when you warm up for anything else, you don't go straight into your 5x5 at 80% back squat when you go into the gym. You start off with stuff like some static or maybe some easy dynamic stretching. Then you go into some activation stuff, maybe some isometric hold. Then you go into maybe some jumps. Then you go into the bar for your back squats. Then you warm up to it. So you go from slow to fast, from easy to hard. That's the same thing you need to do with sprinting. Don't think that just doing a few little stretches then go straight into your sprints is going to cut it. You need to build yourself into sprints by doing some technique work, some activation work, the same as you would do when you're doing your Olympic lifts in the gym. So that's the first clue, slow to fast. And make sure as well you're going from easy to hard, so simple to complex within your training programs as well. So start off with some basic drills that you know you can get right, because they're kind of, again, following that rule, slow to fast. So it's nice and slow and they're simple, so you can get to grips with how you improve or how you establish proper sprinting gait, and then you go into the sprints to try and practice it. So slow to fast, easy to hard. This also goes for when you're actually doing your sprints. I wouldn't start someone off doing a 3-point start, like where you're kneeling down, or even a block start where you're doing a 4-point start and going into, let's say, a 30 or 40 meter sprint, because that's going to be very stressful, because that is potentially going to give you the ability to start the fastest, to take off at the highest speed, and also to reach the highest speed. And when we're first going into sprinting, we want to ease ourselves into that impact. So things like walking starts and what Altis and some of the guys they call a rolling start, where you kind of do a little skip in and do like a little kind of like rolling start in, or even doing some like high knees or skipping drills into a sprint. Anything that's going to help you to gradually go full speed, that's going to break up that kind of like static overcome by dynamic start, where you're going from a dead start and then sprinting straight off the mark, because that's usually where you're going to get hurt if you do get hurt from sprinting, where you're going to get a little bit tweaked. And also, by slowly going into the full speed sprint, it allows you to have some time to have some forethought about what you're going to be doing to make sure that you sprint correctly when you go into it. So the next thing is a really simple principle. It's just short to long. Make sure your sessions start off fairly short in duration. So after you've warmed up, you don't really need to do anything more than 15 to 20 minutes for actual concentrated sprint work, and then slowly progress it up over time. And this will happen naturally, because as you first do your sprint sessions, I wouldn't advise you do anything more than 10 to 15 meters of actual sprint work when you're going initially. So reps of a walk-in sprint of 10 to 15 meters with around 100 to 200 meters of volume. What you can handle is going to be based on everything from how heavy you are, how conditioned you are, your body composition, have you sprinted before, and just generally how you react to running anyway. If you've been someone who sprinted a lot for your sports in the past, then you probably won't have too much of a problem with it. But if you're somebody who hasn't sprinted in a while, and especially like some of the guys I know, you've gone up a few weight classes since you did proper sprinting from when you played football or rugby, you're going to need to ease yourself back in with some lower volume. So start short in terms of your sprinting distances, start short in terms of your session duration, and slowly increase the distances and the volume that you run total in the session, and increase the amount of time you actually spend sprinting. Because eventually you could have an hour or 2 hours where you go out and do some really high quality sprint work, where you're getting the most out of it, because you have the capacity both in your muscle tissue and your aerobic and anaerobic energy systems to be able to handle it. So that's what we want you to do, so that you can get the most out of it. This sprint session I did was really simple, and I deliberately tried to make it simple, going from the hip flow warm up to the ankle prep drills to the sprint prep drills, so that you can get an impression of how you work on it. There's a bunch of other stuff that goes into technique, but really give it 2 or 3 weeks of slowly introducing sprints into your training and see how it affects things first before you start worrying about lots and lots of different technical issues. Practice the drills that are here. Try to just make it as simple as possible and slowly ease yourself in. You'll find just by practicing sprinting, just by doing it in a structured manner like this, you will get better for quite a while, for like quite a few months anyway, before you need to really address big technical changes. If you have any questions, message me, message the other Ronin coaches, or message our weightlifting, like our Instagram page, and we're happy to help you out. We're going to post more tips based on what response you guys have to this and what you want to know about sprinting. So if you have any questions, throw them in, whether it's by DM or by comment, so then we can create some more content for you guys to help you out with your sprint training whilst you're in lockdown.